Kevin O'Leary just dropped a massive bombshell about South Florida's real estate market. The man who has been Miami's biggest cheerleader, who literally moved there and kept raving about the lovely weather and the great tax benefits. Yes, that Kevin O'Leary is now saying the market is about to hit a wall. And not just slow down, we're talking full stop, frozen. He is betting there won't be a rate cut in 2025. Not one. Think about what that means for a second. Right now, if you're trying to buy a house in South Florida, you face mortgage rates around 6.5 to 7%. That is already brutal. But O'Leary says it is going to stay this way for at least another year, maybe longer. And here is the thing. He is not some random person making predictions. This is someone who watches real estate markets like a hawk because he has serious money in the game. But the mortgage rates, that is actually not even the worst part. See, there is something happening in South Florida right now that O'Leary calls unprecedented. And when a billionaire investor uses that word, you should probably pay attention. About 70% of Florida homeowners locked mortgage rates below 4% during the pandemic. Some got rates down to 3%. Now, those same people would have to get new mortgages at 7% plus if they sold. Do the math on that. You mean potentially doubling your monthly payment and interest on a $500,000 mortgage? That equals paying $2,100 versus $3,300 monthly. So what happens? Nobody sells. O'Leary said these people have no incentive to sell their homes. Zero. Nada. This creates what economists call a lock-in effect. But let me explain what that actually means for regular people trying to buy a house in South Florida right now. You have all these homes that should be on the market. People who normally would have upgraded, downsized, or relocated for work, whatever, but they are not moving. They cannot afford to. They are trapped by their own good fortune of getting a cheap mortgage. So, the number of homes for sale is artificially low, way lower than it should be. But wait, it gets worse. While nobody is selling, people are still trying to buy. O'Leary pointed out that wealthy retirees from places like California, New York, and New Jersey are still flooding into Florida. They are cashing out of their million-dollar homes in high-tax states and moving to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. These people often have cash. They do not care about mortgage rates because they are not getting mortgages. So you have no supply and steady demand from cash buyers. You know what happens next? Prices stay high, ridiculously high, even though regular buyers cannot afford them anymore. And then there is the insurance nightmare. O'Leary called this one of three massive problems that have come out of nowhere. Insurance costs in South Florida have gone absolutely insane. Some homeowners are seeing their insurance premiums double or triple. Others cannot get insurance at all. One homeowner in Fort Lauderdale told reporters their insurance went from $3,000 to $9,000 annually. That is an extra $500 monthly just for insurance. Add that to an already inflated mortgage payment, and suddenly that dream home in South Florida is completely out of reach. O'Leary put it bluntly when talking about California, but the same applies to Florida. You get fried, drowned, and shaken there, and nobody wants to actually insure that. Let that sink in. The man who owns property in Miami, who has been Florida's biggest advocate, is admitting the insurance situation is so bad that companies simply do not want to take the risk anymore. Property taxes, they are going up too. Even though home values might start to stagnate, local governments still need revenue, so they raise the mill rate. Your home might not be worth more, but you are paying more in taxes anyway. O'Leary said these three things: mortgages, insurance, and taxes have created a situation where the market is ground to a halt, ground to a loss. A halt. That's not a slowdown. That's not a correction. That's a full stop. But here's what really got my attention. O'Leary specifically said he is watching markets in Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. These are supposed to be the hot markets, the places everyone is moving to, the success stories of American real estate. And he is saying they are all facing the same unprecedented challenges. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but O'Leary is still bullish on Florida long term, right? Yes, he is. He still talks about the weather and the tax benefits, but even he admits that in the short term, we are looking at stagnation. His exact word, stagnation. And he is not talking about a few months. He says all of 2025 minimum. Think about what a frozen real estate market actually means. It's not just that prices stop going up. When markets freeze, everything stops. Construction slows down because builders cannot sell homes. Real estate agents start leaving the business. Mortgage brokers have nothing to do. Title companies lay people off. It's an entire ecosystem that stops functioning, and the people who get hurt the most. It's not the wealthy cash buyers from California. It's not even the homeowners sitting on 3% mortgages. It's everyone else. The first-time buyers who have been saving for years, the growing families who need more space, the people who have to relocate for work, they are stuck, completely stuck. O'Leary's advice for these people is simple, except you will have to buy a smaller house, likely 30% smaller. 30% smaller. So that 3-bedroom house you were looking at, now you are getting a 2-bedroom. That nice neighborhood you wanted, forget it. You are going further out to a less desirable area, and you are still paying more than you would have 2 years ago. And remember, this is coming from someone who has traditionally been super optimistic about real estate. This is not some doom and gloom analyst who is always predicting crashes. This is Mr. Wonderful himself, a guy with hundreds of millions in real estate investments saying the market is in trouble. But here's the really dark part that nobody's talking about. What happens when markets stay frozen for too long? History tells us it's not pretty. Eventually, something breaks. Maybe it's a wave of foreclosures from people who can't afford the insurance anymore. Maybe it's builders going bankrupt because they can't move inventory. Maybe it's regional banks collapsing under the weight of commercial real estate losses. Something O'Leary also warned about. He mentioned regional banks have up to 40% of their balance sheets in commercial mortgages. 40%. And those mortgages are coming up for refinancing at rates that make the properties uneconomic. His word, not mine. So, you have a residential market that's frozen, a commercial market becoming uneconomic, insurance companies fleeing the state, and the Fed potentially keeping rates high through all of 2025. South Florida is sitting right in the middle of this perfect storm, the place that was supposed to be the great American success story of the post-pandemic era. The new Wall Street, the new Silicon Valley, the place where everyone wanted to move. Now, it's looking more like a trap. A beautiful, sunny, tax-friendly trap where you can't afford to buy, can't afford to sell, and can't afford to stay. O'Leary is not saying it's going to crash tomorrow. He is not even saying it's going to crash at all. What he is saying might actually be worse. He is saying it's going to freeze. Just stop. No activity, no movement, no life. And in real estate, when nothing moves, everything dies slowly. That classic 3-bedroom house in a nice South Florida neighborhood once costing $400,000. O'Leary says, forget about it. You pay that same price for a trailer. $400,000 for a trailer in Florida. But hey, at least the weather's nice, right?